Donald Trump has done it again. Why did he tweet that he was going to impose 10% tariffs on Chinese goods? And what is his end game? Find out more in this video. Hi guys, it's Enny, aka the Knock Trader, your friendly neighborhood swing trader, back again with another video. Remember to like, subscribe and share, and leave a comment in the comment section below of what you think Donald Trump's end goal is with these trade tariff wars that he's imposing on Chinese goods. I've got Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at the Knock Trader on all social media platforms, and if you check the description section below, there's a link to my mailing list and my Discord group. Join both of those to get the latest updates on my videos and to just join the community of great traders. Now let's get straight into it. Now, Donald Trump, just to add some context to what was going on this week, the equity market stocks were doing pretty well. They're doing all right. The Fed had just announced a 0.25% interest rate cut, which was kind of good. I think it had a negligible effect because it was already factored into the price of equities, but it was good news either way. And then all of a sudden, Donald Trump tweets a bombshell about how he's going to impose 10% tariffs on Chinese goods after we thought trade talks with China were going well. He just hits us with that. Now, this article just kind of outlines what I'm just saying. So, stocks post their worst week of 2019 after Trump's latest trade war escalations. Rising trade tensions between the USA and China pushes stocks to their worst week. Blah 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 blah. The S&P fell by 0.7%. Dow Jones declined by 0.37%. On Thursday, which is the what day it was Thursday? On Thursday, which was the 1st of August. Sorry, on Thursday, which was the 1st of August. Donald Trump tweeted that he was going to impose tariffs on Chinese goods. And let me go into more details. On Thursday, President Trump said that starting September 1st, the USA would impose an additional 10% tariffs on $3 billion worth of Chinese exports. Now, this information set the stock markets tumbling. Most of the stocks, pretty much all the stocks that were all the US equities and even some of the European equities just nosedived. Now, this isn't going to be a video about what this means for the market, because it's pretty self-explanatory what this means for the market. Trade wars are bad for everyone. But I'm going to delve a little bit deeper. Now, I've had this theory for a while, but I listened to a podcast called the Brilliance Idiots podcast. This podcast is not a political podcast by any stretch of the imagination. There's Charlemagne the God, who's a radio DJ, and Andrew Schultz, who's a comedian. They just talk about lots of different topics, and they just inject humor and jokes into it. It's nothing to do with the business or politics, but the producer, Andrew Morrow, he said something that I've been thinking for some time, but he kind of corroborated what I thought, and he said that he has an insider in the White House that said that the China-US trade deal had already been signed. What Trump was doing was creating a little cat and mouse kind of effect by sounding like they were getting close to a deal, and then he'd play hardball with them, and then they'd get closer to the deal. And he said that that Donald Trump intended on stretching this out up until a couple weeks before the election, and then all of a sudden saying yes, after a lot of back and forth and a lot of posturing, we finally agreed on a trade deal, and that would kind of boost the markets just before the election, and then he could ride the wave of that trade deal and the boost of the stock markets, and he'd use that as part of his campaign for the 6 weeks prior to the election so that he could get re-elected. Now, that doesn't sound as wild as it seems. I could believe that they've already signed the trade deal, and Donald Trump, first of all, wants to show that he's a powerful leader. He's all about ego and posturing and making himself not look like a fool, making himself look powerful. So I could fully believe that he could have already signed the deal, but they maybe had an agreement that they won't actually release the information to the public until maybe a couple of weeks before his election, so that he can just say things to the press and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then retract it, and then say he's gonna do this and retract it, and really just send the market just going all sorts. And then just before the election, he has a trump card that he can pull out, pun intended, trump card that you can pull out and say, guys, I've really battled with the Chinese. You see me really say that I was going to impose this tariff and that tariff, and we've gone back and forth. But now we've achieved a trade deal, and it's signed, sealed, delivered. And then the markets would soar. He would have a lot of good PR going into the campaign period of the elections, and then he could just use the fact that the stock markets are doing well off of the back of that information, and the fact that he struck a trade deal as kind of just material for his campaign. He could talk about how the economy is doing well under his leadership and how he'd agreed on a trade deal, and that could be part of the strategy for his campaign when he ends up going against whoever the Democratic nominee is, and he use that information as a way to get re-elected. Now this is a big theory. This is a theory I had in my head, but I never thought I'd make a video on it because it's all just theory. I have nothing tangible, and for all I know, this Chris Morrow. So Chris Morrow guy could be just making stuff up, but I believe this because I've been thinking this as well. I think it's just, I don't know. I think there's a lot of deals that go on behind the scenes that we don't know about, obviously, and I believe that the information they relay to the public is quite calculated. People think Donald Trump's really stupid, and I'm not one of these people. I think he's quite calculated. One thing, he may have been bad in business and bad in a lot of things, but one thing he's good at is marketing himself. He knows how to. He knows 90% of it is perception, and he knows how to create a good perception. Well, maybe not a good perception, but he knows how to manipulate the media to his whim. And in this case, I think that's what he's doing here. I bet you anything that before this tariff is imposed, he'll redact it. So that's my little 2 cents on what I think his master plan is. I believe his master plan is to just keep making like grandiose statements about tariffs that he's going to impose on China, but never actually impose them. And then when it gets closer to the election, they'll actually release that they've got a deal signed, sealed, delivered. But they'd already had that deal agreed on months prior, but they didn't want to release that because it would be more beneficial to his campaign if he'd released it closer to the campaign time. So yeah, a lot of theory. I have not much to back it up. I'll put the link to the podcast and the time in which they talk about this below. But yeah, that's my theory on it. Pop in the description section below if you disagree with me, if you think I'm talking nonsense, or if you agree with me. But time will tell. We'll wait and see. In a couple of months, I can refer back to this video, and then I can either tell you I told you so, or you lot can make fun of me. But anyway, it's Any, aka the Not Trader, signing out.